Hey everybody, welcome back to another edition of Major Push Wrestling, the talk show where we give wrestling the major push that it deserves. I am your host, Gino, and I am here solo once again. We hope to be getting some of the other guests back in a rotation, but for now, here are going to be my thoughts. Super early, but also not that early. Hopes, wishes, thoughts for what I want to see at WrestleMania. I'm going to be making this list based on current people who are not injured, who have a likely shot at being at WrestleMania. We could be talking about people like The Rock, and we could be talking about people like, a Batista or even a John Cena, these grandiose thoughts that we might have for it. But I'm going to address this as who is currently on the roster and who seems like they would be having a match for WrestleMania. We've most of us have seen WWE Unreal. You got the little whiteboard action and the plans. We know they're thinking about this far out. I wanted to give my thoughts before anything else gets established. So when I say anything else, I meant because we have one match that is established right now for WrestleMania, and that is CM Punk versus Roman Reigns for the World Heavyweight Championship. Now, that match is probably going to main event night two. CM Punk will finally get his main event, and it'll be for the title. It'll be the most meaningful match on the show, honestly. So they've already started to build towards that. Let's hope that CM Punk doesn't get hurt in his match with Finn Balor. However, there are some other matches, some you might disagree with, some you might agree with. So I look forward to seeing what you guys think in the comment section below. So let me know. I really look forward to hearing your thoughts. At the top of my list, the first match that I wrote down when I was preparing for this episode and for this video is Brock Lesnar versus Oba Femi. Okay, hear me out. Everybody wants to see Brock versus Gunther, but Gunther's very clearly retiring people, and you're not retiring Brock at WrestleMania. All signs point to Minneapolis SummerSlam, which is pretty much Brock Lesnar's event. So I see them saving that for that. I don't want them to be having too much interaction before that. So Oba can benefit because if we don't get Oba versus Brock before he retires, it's a huge waste. So on the top of my list, it's Oba Femi, the ruler, the true future of the WWE. Say what you want about Braun Breaker. Say what you want about Dominik Mysterio. Say what you want about Trick Williams and young OG Javon Evans. I think all of them are great, but Oba is the true future. I am very high on Oba Femi. So Oba Femi versus Brock could be hard hitting, and I you would presumably have Oba go over Brock and establish him truly. Then you can always have Brock build himself back up, come in, destroy a bunch of people. Maybe he interferes in the Money in the Bank ladder match and lays everybody out or something like that, even when he's not in the match. Like you could build Brock up, right? He's always still going to be Brock Lesnar, whether he wins or loses. Oba would benefit greatly from this. Okay. So there's those are the two matches for sure. Now, the next one, bear with me because the signs aren't pointing this way, but for me, I think that it would be a high caliber match. Now they may save it, but for me, I want to see Cody Rhodes versus Randy Orton and not in a title match. I want to see Cody turn heel and feud with Randy Orton. I know that they've had their interactions. Obviously, there's the history with Legacy faction from back in the day. I just feel like Cody needs to establish that he can exist without the WWE title because he's starting to get a little stale. He's starting to not be like a one-trick pony, but he's starting to do things that are feeling repetitive. Going into the year, people were thinking, could we get Cody versus Roman 3? And we know that's not happening. So, and the signs are pointing to Drew McIntyre for the WWE Championship. But Come on. Drew beat him, and that feud to me is over. If you're going to have Cody win the Elimination Chamber, okay, fine. But I think that there's better stories and a better future to be told with Cody as a heel, Randy as a face, fighting at WrestleMania, and then you can have Cody come out of WrestleMania as a heel and be challenging for the WWE Championship in the late spring, early summer months, things like that. Maybe wins it at SummerSlam from the champion who will be at the time have taken it from Drew McIntyre. So with that, my next match that I want to see is Drew McIntyre, the WWE champion, versus it's going to be the winner of the Elimination Chamber. And I truly believe and I truly want to see L.A. Knight. Yeah. Beating Drew McIntyre for the WWE Championship at WrestleMania. No bigger pop. Good guy versus bad guy. LA Knight isn't a like skinny, short, small worker. Like he's a big guy. He's got the weight. He's got the stature. You believe that he would be able to do something against Drew McIntyre. They could put on a heck of a match. LA Knight could be over. And I know people are thinking, get him the Money in the Bank briefcase. Okay. For me, his talking has gone south a little bit. So having him with the Money in the Bank briefcase, teasing cash-ins, blah 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 blah, that could be great, and I would like that as my option B for him if he doesn't have this feud into WrestleMania. But Drew McIntyre versus LA Knight for the championship, and LA Knight wins, but whether it's completely clean or not doesn't matter. LA Knight's been held down from whatever you're watching from WWE Unreal or any of the other things that you just see on television just with your own eyes. Like he deserves and needs this push. And he might get it at Money in the Bank. But for me, I think this would be huge for him to win it in Las Vegas in front of the world. I think that would be something that I would prefer for these two wrestlers going into it. Now, I do have another match here. I'm not as high on this match. It came to my mind first, so I'm going to say it in kind of the order it came to my mind. But there are other matches that I would rather see over this. But for these two people, they've got a long history with each other, and they're both seemingly healthy. They're both seemingly in the storylines right now. Finn Balor, he's going to lose to CM Punk at Elimination Chamber, and then Dominik Mysterio is going to get on his nerves about losing, and they will have a match against each other for the Intercontinental Championship at WrestleMania, leading to the implosion of the Judgment Day. I would love that. We know JD McDonough's coming back in a little bit, so that we'll see what happens. But I think Finn versus Dominik for the title. Obviously, Dominik goes over, or maybe have Finn beat him for the title, because obviously Dominik didn't have to relinquish the title when he was out with an injury like they do with people that they don't want to have the title anymore. So I'm looking at Dan O'Brien, Seth Rollins, obviously he was hurt for an extended period of time, but supposedly if you're not able to defend it in 30 days, you're supposed to relinquish it. He hasn't, so there's going to have to be something with him, and I don't think they're just going to keep him as double champion forever. You could have Finn beat him, maybe with the help of JD. You really split up the Judgment Day, and you've got Dominik with, at this moment in my video, with Roxanne, Raquel, and Liv, and he can just kind of be like the Dom father, right? And that would be amazing. And he could be a baby face, true baby face type of situation. So for me, Finn and Dom, the more I talk about it, the more excited I am for it. So maybe it did come to my mind in the order that it should. Now, this match, I think all signs point to it happening, and it happening at WrestleMania. If they do it at Elimination Chamber, well, I was kind of right, kind of wrong. But I want to see this match at WrestleMania, and that is El Grande Americano versus OG Grande Americano, mask versus mask. I mean, the story writes itself. You got Chad Gable, presumably, underneath the OG mask. he got hurt, and then you had Kaiser, presumably, underneath the new mask, and then now you've got Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate, presumably, as Rayo and Bravo. So you've got this thing, but I do feel like it's kind of run its course. So you do a mask versus mask. Chad Gable's character, the OG Grande, wins, takes the mask off of uh, new Grande, and then he can take his own mask off. So you've got both of them being revealed, and then their characters can go off in other directions. Now I know the Grandes are big in AAA, but this is WrestleMania. This is the WWE. They can figure things out. Like they could use the mask reveal. Kaiser could go into AAA. I'm a better luchador than any of you guys, and I never trained in it. Blah 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 blah. I think there's a lot that can be done with that. So mask versus mask, Grande versus OG Grande. Now, you may have noticed I've only said 1v1 matches. So for these matches that I have established, I'm going to be thinking of them as 1v1 matches. Everybody loves their 1v1s, and people aren't as big on triple threats and multi-man, multi-woman matches. For me, I do like multi-person matches personally, but I'm going to be giving you guys pretty much 1v1 matches. Now, you also might have noticed I haven't mentioned the ladies yet. That ends now. The first women's match that comes to my mind that I want to see at WrestleMania, and I expect the comment section to be blowing up over this one, chat. I want to see Lash Legend versus Nia Jax. Yes, you heard that right. Right now they're in a storyline where one powerhouse is teaching the other powerhouse the ropes right now. Is it too soon for them to be splitting off? Maybe, but who knows what's going to happen a year from now? And I think that two powerhouse women going against each other, hard hitting, establishing Lash as a strong person. Nia's a former champion. We all know Nia's history. I love myself monster heels. And these two girls right now are monster heels. So one of them might have to turn face or turn heel, but they're both heel. So one of them's going to have to turn face. Presumably, I would like to cheer for Lash Legend, but her music, Bougie Bully, things like that, it feels very much like she might be stuck as a heel. And then Nia, kind of same thing. But I would take either one of them as a face against the other one. I think it might be harder to make Nia a face because people have this, for right or for wrong, feelings about her and her work rate and things like that. I know, everybody wants 5-star bangers, but for me, storytelling, soap opera-y, like you tell a story in the ring, and I think a great story could be told here. And I think that Nia does do good work telling stories, regardless of the botches and the triple threats and all that stuff, whatever. So Nia versus Lash. Now, that will be a non-title match because neither of them will have the championship, but I really do believe that that would be a hard-hitting, change of pace match that you need to build a true card. And then, speaking of a match that will be potential 5-star with great in-ring workers, not just with storytelling, but with their ability to go in the ring and professionally wrestle, we have Charlotte Flair versus her not best friend, Alexa Bliss. Whether it was meant to happen or whether it was accidental, Charlotte eliminated Alexa, and they already had their run as the women's tag team champions. So there's no need to kind of keep them in that title picture and keep them as a tag team. So split them up, have them going against each other. I'm a big fan and have been a big fan of Alexa Bliss. I like her goddess character a lot more than her current gimmick that she has going on. So I really believe that Alexa versus Charlotte could be a banger match for WrestleMania. The next one up is going to be the WWE Women's Champion Jade Cargill versus Bianca Belair, one-on-one. Hopefully she comes back. She would have to win the Elimination Chamber, but these two have a long history before Bianca got hurt in the triple threat last year's WrestleMania. I know she got the finger issue. Not really sure whether it's healed or not, but that is something that I want to see. I am in love with Jade as a like presence. She needs to do better in the mic. She needs to do better in the ring. She doesn't really have a big storyline going on right now, and it's kind of odd how that's happening, but it is what it is. If you've seen one of my previous videos, you know that WWE likes to book their champions when they don't have anything planned for them. So at least that's how it seems to me. But Jade versus Bianca, two hard hitting women, monsters. One's uber babyface, and one's still getting cheered, but she's playing more of the heel character. I think there's a lot of greatness to be had there. Now, we can't forget about the tag teams. And right now, the Usos are the tag team champions. They're feeding them people that don't really need to be fed. And I think that we have the Usos versus the New Day, if you can build the New Day up properly, for the two greatest tag teams of the modern eras against each other. I think that that could be wonderfully done. Wonderfully done. The New Day have been mourning the health of the tag team division. They could come out of mourning because they respect what the Usos are doing, and you could maybe even turn them. You could do face versus face, or you could keep them as heels, super cowardly. I think that they would put on a banger of a match. Now you might be thinking, but Gino, we already know that somebody is definitely going to be in the world championship picture, and that's Liv Morgan. Where is she on the card? And now you also might be thinking, well, it's so obvious that it's going to be Stephanie Vecchia. To me, Stephanie Vecchia needs to change something, and it wasn't her music. So she definitely needs to change her music now. But I will say this: since my last video, they added like a cane-like pyro to start it, and that is one of those big pop starts to a song that I have addressed in the previous video. Go check it out when you're done with this one. I think that's an improvement upon her generic what they decided to give her instead of her like I honestly like the previous music better. I think some amalgamation of that with the Kane pyro would be good. But if I'm booking, Stephanie doesn't have the title come WrestleMania. I would love for, and I do believe that it should have been Raquel back when they had their Street Fight Championship match. It's kind of silly that you could have three people interfering and then still lose the match. Like Stephanie wouldn't get hurt by it. She's already built up as this big Gunther like personality who's always a champion when she's in the 80% of the time, whatever. Stephanie Vacquer could have lost to Raquel, and then Liv can challenge Raquel, and then that is a split up of the Judgment Day for the women, and then even you could theoretically even add Roxanne to the mix, right? You could all have them betraying on each other. Maybe they're all flirting with Dom, and Liv's getting jealous and upset. Like maybe we could go back to Doghouse Dom for a few. Like I would love all of that, and I think that that's a natural way to turn Dom face and to build up that. That's a match that has stakes. It has storyline, that soap opera drama. Now, there's a few people I've definitely left off of here. I'm trying to fit them into matches, but we've got Gunther, Trick Williams, Damian Priest, The Miz, potentially Chris Jericho, Logan Paul, Bronson Reed, maybe Austin Theory, Braun Breaker if he's healthy, Seth Rollins if he's healthy. But for right now, those guys, I'm not saying they shouldn't have matches, but those guys would be kind of uh, on the outside. I think that Gunther they're not maybe using him properly, and you need to give him somebody else to retire. So who in the company is close to retiring? I don't know. Maybe it could be a returning Jericho, but then are you really going to have somebody wrestle for under a month and then retire? Like it feels like Jericho would have a lot more to do. So I'm not really sure what's going on with that. Maybe you could have him retire, eventually a Randy, a Finn, a CM Punk, a Brock Lesnar, all these things. But right now, maybe a Gunther v. Sheamus. Maybe he retires Sheamus. Actually, that's a great idea. We're going to put that down. He's going to retire Sheamus at WrestleMania. Hard hitting match. Sheamus has been in the WWE for a long time. He's kind of not floundering, but he's kind of have his stuff where he's not really showcased on television. I don't know if he's injured or not, but you could say that these types of things that he's on his way out, right? again, so I wrote here Trick Williams versus Damian Priest just because I want Trick Williams on the card, and maybe Damian Priest is a good face character for him to go up against. They kind of have their feud already, so kind of go. But I'm really high on Trick Williams. Trick Willie, Tricky two times, Lemon Pepper Steppers, like he's awesome. And he comes out looking like Terrell Owens in his prime with the big jacket, the diva personality. I freaking love it. So there's that. Logan Paul needs to be on that card. And I also have maybe a Miz versus Jericho currently. That could be a fun way to get Jericho a win, establish him back. And the Miz is a great worker. I am really high on the Miz. So yeah, I'll say what you want about the Miz, but I think the Miz is great and he's serving his role perfectly. So to recap, Oba v Brock, CM Punk versus Roman we know about, Randy versus Cody non-title, Drew versus LA Knight for the championship, Finn versus Dom for the Intercontinental Championship, OG Grande versus New Grande, Americano, mask versus mask, Lash Legend versus Nia Jax, Charlotte versus Alexa, Jade versus Bianca for the women's WWE title, Usos versus New Day for the tag team championships, maybe in a unifying type of situation, Liv v Raquel, who would be the champion, and potentially even Roxanne in there. Gunther retires Sheamus, Trick Williams and Damian Priest, Miz and Jericho, and there are a few other guys there on the outside that I don't have like a plan for in my head at this time, though I would like to see them, like Logan Paul, Bronson Reed, Solo Sikoa, Jacob Fatu, things like that. So, whatever you guys think, let me know in the comment section below. I look forward to hearing all of your thoughts. And as always, I'll catch you on the next one. Bye bye.